Welcome in to Check the Mic. It's a special bonus episode. Steve Palazzolo, Sam Monson. We're live on a Tuesday morning this time because it's draft week, and why not do a little extra work this week, Sam? Chris Sims will join the show, God willing, of course. He's late, and we'll explain that in a minute. But how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Better than Chris, apparently. We're just three old men over here, 40-plus-year-olds, but two of us are up and running.
The report from Chris's producer, Pete, former coworker at PFF. Pete says Chris, who's supposed to be here at 10:30, is going to be on closer to 10:40. He's getting a knee brace. Why is he getting a knee brace, Sam? Intense activity. What do you think?
Right. I would assume some sort of, physical contact sport with other 300-pound men, really just like back in his playing days.
Well, he tweaked it playing outside with his kids. And I've never related more to Chris than now.
I mean, that is a 40-plus-year-old way of getting injured.
So we're waiting on Chris. I guess it's going to be closer to 10:40. So we'll see. Whenever Chris is here, we'll break it all down. I already see the chat is all fired up. They always love this. Some people at least love the crossover pod where we get to talk to Chris, his rankings, and talk players. He's been gracious enough to give us some of his time, and we'll have some fun. But for now, thoughts and prayers with Chris and his knee as he gets, stitched up or whatever he's got going on. While we're waiting for Chris, though, I think we're going to unpack a little bit of the news. I think the biggest NFL draft news and rumor right now is all around Shedeur Sanders. There's a couple things coming out. Every Saints beat reporter is essentially saying Saints aren't taking him, and not just at 9, maybe at all. They're just out. So I always joke that I believe all the rumors, Sam. Like that one feels pretty strong. Are you going to buy? Look, I want to do a little buy and sell the rumors. Are you buying that the Saints are out on Shedeur first?
Well, look, I think we can buy or sell the kind of rumor part of it. I'm just getting fascinated by the whole Shedeur Sanders conversation is getting interesting to me. So, right away, we thought quarterbacks were probably going to go 2 in the top 3 somewhere. Then slowly, as this process has gone on, teams have been slowly kind of removing themselves from the potential Shedeur Sanders landing spots. Now, obviously, this is all the smoke season, and maybe all of it is ridiculous. Maybe he gets drafted number 2 overall anyway, and the whole thing was moot. But right now, if we're reading the tea leaves, it sounds like both the Browns and the Giants are going in a different direction at the top of the draft. They're not taking him at 2 or 3. Then you start going, well, where else could he go? We're assuming at that point he would probably last until the Saints come up at number 9. Maybe the Jets could still be interested. Maybe the Raiders, who knows? Like one of those teams, it's possible, but nobody's really connecting those. So, and if the Saints pass on him at 9, well, now we're sliding seriously deep into the first round. Like the next obvious landing spot is Pittsburgh at 21. And we don't know if they're in the quarterback market with this Aaron Rodgers thing. They might be out entirely at that spot, or they might be interested in a different guy. If Pittsburgh pass at 21, like where does he end up going? I mean, is he now in play at the top of the second round to the Browns and the Giants who passed on him at the top of the first, kind of like the Will Levis thing? Or are we opening the door for like a totally left field, team that we're not thinking about, like the Rams or the Seahawks or the Colts or, one of these teams? All of a sudden, what felt like was a relatively sort of clean, there's a few teams in this and, one of them will get him, could be chaos.
Yeah. The other thing that's interesting here is I don't know how much every team puts the work into the quarterbacks, right? So I don't know if the Saints put that much work in, or if they put all the regular work in on Shedeur Sanders and just said, no, we're out. We don't want him. Did they know about the Derek Carr injury? Were they blindsided by it? How early did they know? If they were expecting to just have Derek Carr this year, did they not do as much work on Shedeur Sanders? And now they just felt like, it's too late in the process to catch up. I mean, similar with the Steelers. Did the Steelers buy into, Shedeur's going top 5? We'll never have a chance at him at 21. And they're playing catch up. So I'm always interested in that, because I've brought up a team like the Colts. Like if the Colts really love Shedeur Sanders, they could take him, even if Colts fans don't want to. But do they do enough work to even have that strong of an opinion? So there's a whole lot of rumors and implications that maybe he could fall out of the first round. And that's where CBS sports analyst Jonathan Jones, his most recent mock draft, has Shedeur Sanders falling out of the first round. Now, this happens all the time. Jonathan Jones made a great prediction last year. He had Michael Penix Jr. going at number 8 to the Falcons just before the draft, and obviously hits on that. Now, just because you hit on that doesn't mean you're going to have everything going in the future, but he's an insider. He's somewhat connected. He's got Shedeur falling out of the first round. And just that as a data point means, okay, we could get that trade back if the Browns or Giants want to come up and get him. That's all possible now, but that's things are trending that Shedeur is going to not be going in this top 10.
I mean, I think it's entirely possible. We just outlined a scenario where if everything that we know so far is true, the Browns, the Giants are out at the top, the Saints are out at 9. That means we might be down to effectively if Pittsburgh wants him versus a different quarterback, right? It would take one team effectively to pass on him for him to slide out of the first round, assuming nobody else, trades back into the first to try and get him. How far do you think he could slide? Like, is his floor the top of the second in the Will Levis style where a team goes, look, we wanted the blue chip defensive player at the top of the draft, but we're willing to take him in the top of the second? Or could he actually fall further than that?
I think it's late first, early second. Now, it's such an interesting point because the second rounder, the fringe first rounders are generally like, I didn't feel strong enough to take him earlier. Why would I want to take him now? And this was Geno Smith and the Jets. Remember, Geno Smith was the 3rd or 4th selection for the Jets that particular year. I think they had 3 first rounders and then took Geno, if I'm remembering correctly, in the second. Derek Carr went in the second. You had Lamar Jackson. The Ravens took a 25-year-old former pitcher at tight end ahead of Lamar Jackson. So, I mean, these things work both ways. Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, look, the closest comp to Shedeur might be Teddy Bridgewater. The more we've gotten into this, pretty good arm, fine arm, not a cannon, runs the offense, makes good decisions generally. Teddy Bridgewater might be the closest comp. And he was another guy that the draft cycle in 2014 had him going top 10. And then did he go the last pick of the first round to the Minnesota Vikings? He was another guy that fell. So I think that's where it is. And, I see a lot of stuff about, hey, teams don't trade in to the first round for a quarterback that often. I mean, technically they don't. There hasn't been a ton of those, but they're trying, like all the reports that teams are trying to, the Titans are trying to trade up for Levis. I think it's late first that Shedeur ends up going now.
Yeah. I mean, Teddy is an interesting comp as well, because I think we default to this notion of Teddy Bridgewater as what he ended up becoming, total career, all in a nutshell, like career backup, journeyman, Alex Smithian type of quarterback, and just sort of gloss over the fact that the guy suffered one of the most devastating knee injuries that any player has ever had in the NFL and came back from it. And that probably changed the course of his career. Like, it would be, I think it's more likely than not that it changed something, right? Like, so the early part of his career, he was sort of shoehorned into these slightly non-functional offenses or offenses that didn't necessarily suit his skill set. Then he suffered this horrific knee injury where his entire knee basically fell apart, almost lost his leg, but for the intervention of Vikings medical staff. And then he comes back and he ends up becoming this sort of backup journeyman, marginal starting quarterback. But I don't know that necessarily means that's where his ceiling was defined. Like, that's where he could have gone if his knee hadn't fallen apart and he'd sort of kept going healthy throughout his NFL career. So that represents like a fairly interesting comp for Shedeur, who, might not have any of the special physical tools, but could still become a good starting quarterback.
Yeah, I think that ends up, I don't know, pretty fair for Shedeur Sanders. So we're going live Thursday night. So Thursday, schedule wise here, this is your bonus show. Once Chris is back from ACL surgery, whatever he has here, we will have Chris on the show breaking down his rankings as a little extra bonus this week. Tomorrow, pretty important one here. This is the viewer mock draft. So we're going to do a first round mock draft. Sam and I will talk through each selection, give you, the fans, 4 picks say, maybe only 2, depending on at the top. We just give Cam Ward. We'll give you the option to vote, and it'll be your mock draft. So that's tomorrow, our normal 10:30 a.m. time. And then we won't have a full morning show on Thursday. Maybe we'll just unpack some rumors Thursday morning because the big one, of course, it's Thursday night. Round 1 is live. We will be live at 7 p.m. Draft starts at 8. We'll be live from 7 until probably midnight, whenever it ends. And then we'll go live once again right after that with our round 1 recap show, go pick by pick, and give you some tightened up analysis probably for another couple hours. So Thursday night, Friday night, we'll be live breaking down the draft. Got my new hoodie here, Sam. Check the mic hoodie. I'm ready to go. I'm fired up. This is our week here.
The other element or the other aspect of the Shedeur thing is if Shedeur is falling, which other quarterback do you think? Are you buying the idea that any of these others could go in the first round? So part of me is sort of thinking, look, it's Cam Ward. He's the number 1 guy. If other teams are out on these quarterbacks, I sort of feel like they're out on them. But do you think Pittsburgh could say, we just don't like Shedeur? The Saints, we just don't like Shedeur. But at number 9, Jackson Dart is in play, or number 21, Jalen Milroe is in play. Like, are those guys? Or we've heard Tyler Shuck in the first round rumors. Is any of that legit, or is that all just this year's Malik Willis, this year's Matt Corral?
Time to talk in circles here. I had been trying to read what the Saints media was saying, and again, I mentioned our friend Nick Underhill mentioning, hey, Tyler Shuck's going top 40. Now, he's got sources all across the league, not just with the Saints, but in my head, I was like, I wonder if the Saints really like him. Then you have Burt Breer's column comes out yesterday. I think it was Breer or Schefter. One of them comes out saying Saints are, quote, hot and heavy, end quote, on Jackson Dart. So what? It's a common phrase, Sam. It's a common phrase.
It's not a nice one, though.
Yeah, well, that's with it. So how about this one? What if Saints are sitting there at 40, the sandwich in between the Bears picks, right? 40 or 41. What if the Saints wanted to trade back into the first? Aggressive Mickey Loomis, right? Because all the reports for the Saints are probably the biggest wild card in this entire draft process for multiple reasons. Derek Carr injury, the fact that they're allegedly out on Shedeur Sanders, and then the other rumors that, hey, they're just going to take the best offensive defensive lineman at 9. I buy that. They need help in both trenches. But would they be the team that feels like, hey, we love Jackson Dart? I wonder if the Browns and Giants also, we're the team that's going to trade up with Buffalo or Kansas City or someone into the late first round to get Jackson Dart. So I think that's where the Saints are the biggest wild card, because here's the thing, Sam. If the Browns and Giants are going to pass on Shedeur at 2 and 3 respectively, are they the team that they're going to take them at the top of the second, or are they just like someone else? The boards are all over the place.
Yeah.
The other report, and just to add some more context here, Schefter's report saying that multiple teams have Tyler Shuck as QB1. Multiple. That's more than 2 or more than 1 out of 32. I mean, that's how diverse some of these boards can be.
That's kind of wild to me. I do get, like, on the one hand, I don't like when you pass on a guy in the first round and then get him in the second round. It's tough to sell that you really believe in him being the quarterback going forward, even if, we had to take this guy at the first round, the defensive player, the wide receiver, whatever you pass on him for. It's because quarterback value is so much more than any of those other positions. So if you did genuinely believe that guy has a chance of working out, you wouldn't take the blue chip edge rusher or the blue chip wide receiver or running back or whatever the position is, right? Because the upside of hitting on the quarterback is so much more impactful than any other player you can snag at the top of the round. So it's automatically declaring, at the very minimum, we don't have a huge amount of faith in this guy becoming, the answer at quarterback. Now, it doesn't mean it's not still good process, because a small chance, if he pays off, still the payout is still the same, right? It's still worth taking that gamble in the second round. In fact, it's actually sound process, but it is effectively, putting your sign out there saying we don't really believe that he is the answer.
Do you think these are smoke screens as we get closer to the draft? I think the truth comes out as we get closer to the draft, and the smoke screens were weeks ago.
I don't know that there is any more such a thing as smoke screens. I think it's just bad information mixed with good information. Like, people are talking to everybody, and some of these people know what they're talking about. Some of these people do not know what they're talking about. And a lot of journalism these days has lost the capacity to evaluate the source and actually discern the difference between the two. And they're just putting them both out with equal weight. And now it's up to us to be like, well, which insider is actually telling the truth and which one is just talking to a different dude?
Yeah, I think more of the truth is starting to filter out now because teams have finished. Like, teams aren't having draft meetings right now. They're not re-ranking players. Boards are pretty much finalized right now. They had all their the only tweaks here. The only tweaks here are good to what? The only tweaks are medical. Trying to interpret Sam's message on the side here, and I don't know if I want.
Look, the two letters are close together. It's unfortunate. You know what I'm saying. You bring him in. He's here.
We're going to add Chris. All right. We vamped enough. It's Chris Sims time.
Yo.
Hey, Chris, how's it going, man?
I'm good. Hold on. I'm figuring out this. I got a new iPad stand here at my home thing here, and it's not working quite the way I want it to. So I'm trying to figure out this picture so I don't look totally crazy. Plus, I'm sweating a little bit. I hurt my knee on Sunday throwing footballs to the kids, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So I just had to get, I think I tore some cartilage. So I had to go get a little knee brace. I've been hustling, and I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late, actually, guys. My bad.
Look,
it's all good.
Half of the messages that Steve and I send each other these days are like the memes about how you injure yourself when you're 40 plus years of age.
Oh my gosh!
Bed, walking down the stairs, all that kind of thing. So we've never related to you more, Chris. We understand.
Yeah, good. I'm in the club now. That's official.
Yeah, my knee's been swollen since Christmas, and mine's in. You at least know how it happened. I have no idea. Like Christmas Eve, all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, my knee's swollen. I don't know what's going on here.
I couldn't have felt better. I was throwing bombs to the kids, my nephews, my nieces. I was like, damn, I feel great. Look at these balls I'm throwing. And then last throw of the day, I threw one deep one. I felt something pop. And now I've been limping around for the last little bit here. I heard your conversations, though. You guys had some good combos there. I do like what you're saying. And there's some interesting stuff going down right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's get into it, Chris. Every year, we love having you on because you, first off, as we've always said, you do your own work, not afraid to have your own rankings when it comes to QBs, receivers. We gave you proper credit for your Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh, you did. More than enough credit. I appreciate you guys for that.
So we can't rehash all your wins through the years, but let's just go through some of your rankings and discuss. Quarterback, though, was the one place you weren't really on your own islands this year. It's a lot closer to everyone else. What are your thoughts on the QB class? And like a lot of others, you have Cam Ward as QB1 this year.
Well, I love Cam Ward, right? I think he stands alone. So Cam Ward, to me, is really the only guy that I look at that has specialness about him, right? Where it's like, wow, he can kind of do anything on the football field. I know people dissect his decision-making at times, and okay, that might be one thing you could talk about. Could he get greedy because he wants more? He wants a sexier throw. Okay, but I don't see enough of that concerns me. I mean, quick game. He can get the ball out of his hand as quick as anybody you're going to see. He's got all the different arm angles you guys watch. He's really special in that department. I think he's awesome in the pocket, whether it's staying in the pocket and just finding the right spot to deliver the ball, or, hey, making a move, things are collapsing, I got to get out and make a throw on the run and do it that way. To me, he's just made for the modern-day NFL. Slam dunk number one guy, and, yeah, I really do. I love him. I enjoyed watching him. I enjoyed studying him.
What do you make of – you're a little bit lower on your rankings of those two guys we mentioned potentially getting late first-round talk, Jalen Milroe from Alabama and Tyler Shough from Louisville. Milroe in particular, I understand it, because it's all based off that insane athleticism. He's got the physical tools, and okay, we can work on the other stuff, but that wouldn't be unprecedented. Tyler Shough, though, is the one that I find difficult to square with first round.
Well, I hear you. I heard a little what you were saying before I was coming on too, and so let me say this: the class as a whole, I like it. I don't love it. I don't sit here. If I was a GM of a football team, I really wouldn't want to have my hands tied to any of these guys for the future of my organization. I'll just be flat out. Other than Cam Ward, right? Cam Ward, okay, I'm excited. Let's go to the future. These other guys, I've said this on my shows and stuff. Don't just pick somebody because you got to pick somebody, and now you're stuck with somebody you didn't really love, and now the public is starting a quarterback controversy. And I just feel like a little of that's going on here in this conversation. So as pertaining to the guys you're talking about, I mean, I'm with you, Sam. I mean, you said it right with Milroe. Milroe's really good, is great. Like, his best throws will rival Cam Ward. Well, you'll just be like, whoa, like, that's a rifle. That's a laser. Look at that thing spin. Incredible. But his worst throws will rival some of the lesser quarterbacks in the draft. And that's a problem, too, where you're like, whoa, how could he throw the ball like that? He's got some mechanical deficiencies that he's got to work on. He's still working on being a quarterback. I don't think it ends up being first round, but I think somewhere in the top 45 or top 50, yeah, he'll fall to somebody where they're willing to be patient with him and bring him along as a quarterback. And in the meantime, I think they're going to find a role for him to get on the field and do other things. I think that's what it'll be. So I like Milroe, but he would scare me as far as a short-term answer, I think, as you guys know. And I did Big Ten college football this year, and through the first 5 weeks, when we would show Milroe, I would go, this is the number one pick in the draft. Like, this, he's carrying the team. But from about that point on, it started to fall apart. Now, Tyler Shuck, I'm a little down on compared to, everybody else. I like him, sure. Yeah, I like Kyle McCord and Quinn Ewers a little bit better just because I look at them and go, I think their high-end talent is more special. They have some flaws. There's no question about that. Shuck, I know, is loved by a lot of teams in the NFL. Now, I haven't heard anybody like you said, Steve, that you said had him ranked in front of Cam Ward. But I've been saying on Pro Football Talk to Florio in my podcast, I know there's teams that have Tyler Shuck ranked in front of Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart. So that's where I keep going. I don't know if we're like this trading back into the first round for a quarterback. I don't know if that's going to happen, and I believe that. And we'll talk about that in a second. But Shuck is just – he's got it all. It's good size. He moves well. He's got a good arm. I wouldn't say it's a wow arm, right? He stands in the pocket okay. I wish he was a little bit better in that department. Sometimes he ducks and chucks a little too much for me. But, yeah, I just don't like him as much. But I certainly can see why – a true offensive guru who goes, ooh, he runs offense and he makes all the throws and the right reads. There's always those faction of guys in the NFL, and I could see them liking him a lot.
He's got the ultimate chuck and duck. He's got did you see the one play he had that he just kind of threw it up to? It was one of the worst quarterback plays I've
Underhanded.
I know exactly. That's some of the thing that definitely bothers you about him. And then there's no wow trait to me. That's the other thing too. And you guys know me at quarterback. I'm definitely a little more of a wow trait guy, right? I mean, that's who I am. So yeah, with that too, I just go, hey, I like it. Yeah, he could be a good starting quarterback in the right situation, but I almost feel like it's more Davis Mills type of thing where the draft community and the NFL is trying to talk themselves into something. He looks the part. I think he's the part. I want him to be the part, and I just don't know if I buy into that.
All right, let's get to your receiver rankings here, Chris, because first off, we got to talk Travis Hunter. I know everyone's talked about Travis Hunter a lot. I think it's worth discussing, though. One of the greatest stories in NFL draft history. You have him as wide receiver 1. Where did you land on him as a corner, as a receiver? And you just have him as the pure best receiver in the draft?
Yeah, I do. I think he's made – I think this is where maybe I've learned from mistakes I've made in the past, right? I didn't love guys like Garrett Wilson maybe as much as I should have. And I feel like, hey, self-scout thyself. I was a little wrong. These guys fit into the NFL, even though they're a little more frail and skinny than I would like. Their ability to get off jam at the line of scrimmage, their route running is special, and teams are going to like that and be able to build offenses around that. And I think that's where I've adjusted my thought a little bit because he's not like – Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. last year where you're just like, hey, 80-yard touchdown, or he catches a 5-yard slant and runs for 70 yards. And again, I'm a sucker for that type of stuff as well. But when it comes down to it, I was amazed by what I saw at receiver. It was better than what I expected, I guess. The ball skills, the ability to stick his foot in the ground and cut on a dime no matter where he goes, the ability to accelerate into a break and then put the brakes on and accelerate back out again. Like, all of that is special. And then, of course, he's got speed to beat you deep, and I don't think that's what he's going to make a living. But on top of that, the ball in his hand, does the first guy ever tackle him, right? It's always catches a screen, catches a 5-yard pass, gets another 5, gets another 10, gets another 15, maybe more. So I was amazed by him as a receiver. As a DB, I liked him as a player, but I wouldn't want him on the outside against number one wide receivers, right? I kind of look at him as like he's got a great feel. He's going to make plays. He's going to tackle. You're going to depend on him that way. But as a corner, he's not my favorite cup of tea. I like the guys that you go, hey, you cover him one-on-one on the outside, like Will Johnson from Michigan. If you got him the next 40 plays, we'll figure out what to do with the rest of the guys on the defense here. I favor those type of guys, but there's no denying Travis Hunter's, phenomenal on both sides of the ball.
Now, this time a year ago, when we saw your wide receiver rankings and we said you have Brian Thomas Jr. ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr., that's crazy. And a year later, that looks like by far the best order anybody had out there. This year, you have Kyle Williams from Washington State ranked above Tedero McMillan from Arizona.
Right.
There's no way there's another person out there that has that. Mike Renner loves Kyle Williams, and he was mad that you were higher on him than he was. He's like, I was certain I'm going to be the highest person on Kyle Williams this year. And then you go out there and have him ranked above Tedero and McMillan. So I guess let's start with Kyle Williams. What did you see that has him ranked that highly?
Right. Well, again, I like those type of guys. I like guys that can get tough yak, right? Tough yak, where make a person miss, break a tackle, take off to the races, make an explosive play. He has that. He's got another gear when the ball's in the air that like a Travis Hunter doesn't have, to where he can go get it and turn it on and separate from people. He is a guy, unlike Travis Hunter, where I look at it and go, he can catch a slant and go 70 and 80, right? And I think when it came down to it in his route running, I thought he was the second best route runner in the draft, only to Travis Hunter. Now, I know I'm not like, I understand. And again, this is where I think people get it wrong. I understand what the public and the NFL thinks of Tedero McMillan. I know he's probably going to go off the board in the top 15. I get that. Again, it's a guy that I would say I'm not always in love with the bigger guy that doesn't make a lot happen after the catch, right? And that's where he maybe bothers me, the ability to separate a little bit. And in those areas, that's where I didn't like Tedero. But there's no denying the size. Still really incredible route running for his size. And then maybe some of the best hands I've ever seen in my life, really, realistically. So that was a tough one. I get it. But I prefer, those type of guys, like a Malik Neighbors, like a Kyle Williams. I think he's that type of explosive game changer type of receiver. And I get the sense, he's not going in the first round, but I get the sense he's going to go somewhere in the top half of the second round. At least that's what my feel is. And I got a lot of great feedback from people in the NFL when they saw my rankings with him. But I know I'm a little higher on him than most, Sam, for sure.
A lot of rumors about the Titans maybe grabbing Kyle Williams, reuniting Cam Ward, Kyle Williams. They were at Washington State together, top of the second. So that
I'd have no problem with that. Listen, if Ricky Pearsall can get drafted at 31, so can Kyle Williams. That's all I'd say. I'd see more talented guys or less talented guys than Kyle Williams get drafted at the end of the first round. Right. I mean, I'll go back to N'Keal Harry. I'll go, what? I never saw that. And I'm not saying I'm always right or whatever, but come on. Like, I'll take Kyle Williams all day over guys like some of the guys we've seen at the end of the first round of receiver before.
I understand the N'Keal Harry strays, but Ricky Pearsall, too early for him to catch strays right now.
Well, just to say that it's not super wow, oh my gosh, incredible talent. Like, I like him. He's a damn good player. Don't get me wrong. And I know Shanahan is going to know how to use him, but I'm still saying, like, hey, route running, okay, Kyle Williams, I'd give him the advantage. Explosive plays, I'd give Kyle Williams the advantage. Yards after the catch, I'd give Kyle Williams the advantage of that. And, so that's all I'm saying. But I know it's not going to happen in the first round.
One of the guys, oh, man, I shouldn't have. Wrong wording on Pearsall.
Turn of phrase.
Wow, terrible. Anyway, let's move on. You're lower on Matthew Golden. We've been a little bit lower on Matthew Golden. He's in just your, honorable mention category. What'd you see from Golden from Texas?
I don't see 4.29 speed. That's the first thing I'll say, right? I never see a guy that really explodes off the line of scrimmage. He's a good route runner. I'm not wowed by it. Again, the yards after catch for a guy that's the fastest guy in college football, his biggest catch of the year is 52 yards. That doesn't really make sense. And I can tell you straight up, the University of Texas was shocked he ran a 4.29. So I don't know if I buy that he plays to that type of speed, I guess is what I'd say. But can he unlock that? Certainly. I know people have said he dealt with a toe injury, and that was part of the reason maybe he couldn't be as aggressive getting off the ball and doing that. But yeah, I see a real good receiver, but I don't think I see anything special. I feel like he's a high-end number 2 when I watch him. So I didn't love him, but even less than that is Emeka Ibuka, who I didn't love. And, you know, again, lack of separation, lack of ability to scare anybody deep, really. And I don't think he's quite the same after the catch as Jackson Smith and Jigma was or anything like that. So, yeah, I wasn't in love with the so-called, you know, top guys maybe as much as everybody else.
It feels like this class is a lot like that, where the kind of the cleanest prospects are the limited ones. It might not be a fair word, but like, I think everyone kind of reads Ibuka the same, right? He's going to be a good, really good number 2, and he's very, very good at that. But obviously, that has a limit to how valuable it is.
Yeah,
right? But the problem is the number 1 guys aren't, you know, clean or great.
Exactly.
They're not there. So you sort of, it's tough to rank him relative to these other guys. Whereas a year ago, it would be easy, right? Like we saw it in the same offense. He's not
Right.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right. Yeah, I think you're spot on with a lot of what you're saying. It is a weird year. I don't get the sense talking to friends and the people I text and talk with throughout the NFL that they just think there's a whole lot of perfect prospects out there, right? Every guy I talk to, I'm always like, no matter who it is, I really like this guy. They're like, yeah, but there's this, or yeah, but we're scared of that. And I'm even talking about guys that are like definitely going to go in the top 10 or top 15. That's what's crazy. And to your point, Sam, I think off of that is what we're seeing with that is I think teams are a little bit favoring the safe picks a little bit. The character guy from a good school who's got good production. We just want a solid hit here in the first round. We're not looking for the home run. We just want to make sure something works for our team, our culture, and he can contribute right away instead of maybe swinging for the fences with some guy that might have more talent, but like you said, has another flaw or a character issue off the field that they're just like, I don't want to do that. And between Ibuka, Matthew Golden, I even say Jalen Walker on the Georgia. I feel like I hear a lot of that talk. The conversation starts with the guy first instead of what I see on the field. And I don't always love that, but if my butt was on the line as a GM, I don't know, maybe my thoughts would be different.
I mean, it's fair. We talked about this for a minute here, but that's your personality, it seems, right? As a scout, as an evaluator, you're trying to hit home runs. You were in on Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Brian Thomas Jr., DJ Chark back in the day. I think you had him, right? Speed and big play players. Are you doing the same thing at edge? You have Abdul Carter, number 1, and then a guy we've debated so much on the show, Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M as number 2. You're trying to hit another home run with that ranking with Shamar.
Well, I again, a little, not that I try to hit home runs, but yeah, I seem to fancy that. It's also, I think a little bit of how I was raised in the football world, what I've been around. My dad was always a guy like coming from Bill Parcells. Hey, when in doubt, go with the bigger, freakier guy, right? So I've got that a little bit like ingrained in my brain that way. And yeah, Shamar Stewart, I know the 1.5 sacks. And I'd certainly like to see him be a little bit more instinctive as a football player and make a few more plays, certainly. But as we know, too, in the NFL, sometimes you get around a bunch of alpha defensive linemen. The first time in your life a coach is yelling at you. And believe it or not, for a defensive end in the NFL, life can be simplified, right? You get on we just want you to get to a wide 9. And just go after the quarterback. That's all we want. Forget playing head up on the tackle or on the outside shade and worrying about a run fit and doing all that. And yeah, I just feel like between the size, the physical attributes, I feel like there's more disruption than production, but I would say disruption is production to a degree. And sometimes that gets lost in translation. So yeah, I'm a fan of his. I am. I really do like him.
Are you worried at all that Shamar Stewart is, so we all kind of talk about him as this amazing athlete, and I think he is, but it's very obviously linear and explosive at the moment. Does he have the change of direction to be that high end, 10 sack guy at the NFL level? Because he's got a ton of plays where I mean, he really doesn't finish well. And
I know.
the one thing he specifically avoided doing is all the change of direction drills.
Yeah, I hear you. It does scare me. And I think a lot of the times when I watch it, I just feel like it's a little bit of a guy that's still learning football. He's a little bit of a robot to a degree. And like you're talking about, straight line. He doesn't anticipate what the next move is going to be. Like, yeah, the quarterback's going to give you the okey doke and go this way. How many times are we going to miss that sack and fall for that? That's like the third time this game. Come on. And yeah, that's the crap. I was going to say another word that does frustrate me at time with him. And yeah, you don't know with the testing and all that. But again, I think between the size, speed to power, I do like his bend for his size and all that. And there is physicality in which you see him go and take on a guard or collapse the whole side of a defensive line and disrupt plays like that, where I like that too. But yeah, some of that stuff worries me a little bit, Sam. There's no doubt about it. And again, it goes back to prospect you like that I think is awesome, but he's got a little flaw, and it just doesn't seem like anybody in the top 20 or top 25 is totally perfect that way.
I think Shamar is absolutely a wild card just because of everything we just mentioned. I think the two Georgia guys are wild cards for different reasons. Inexperienced, under 1,000 snaps, both playing. Mykel Williams, maybe not as athletic as you would like. Jalen Walker, this hybrid position. Where do you see those two, the two Georgia edges?
Yeah, they're fascinating, right? I feel like, so I did my mock draft yesterday and released it on my podcast, and I would say the two people that I think I got feedback on that I was wrong about. I had Tetaroa going to the Broncos at 20, and I had Mykel Williams going later in the first round. Actually, I think I had him going pick 31 or 32 to Philadelphia because he was left on the board. But I got the sense from people in the NFL that I'm wrong about both, and they will go way earlier than where I had them, right? That was kind of what I felt. And then back to the Tetaroa thing. I think Tetaroa has a chance to be in the top 15. I had heard that from the start, but I wasn't sure. And again, I like him where I like him. But Mykel Williams, the size, the length, right, the competition, and again, I think a little bit of what we're talking about is a little bit of a talking point in the NFL. Whether it's been Dexter Lawrence back in the day, once some of these alpha big guys get around other people and like, wait, all I got to do is that, and I can make $25 million a year. I just got to do that. Oh, okay. All right. I'm bought in, coach. Sure. And I think you do see that. Mykel Williams has a lot of the tools you would like as a top tier pass rusher. It doesn't wow you always, but I think he's going early. I do. And the Saints at 9 would be the type of team that I could see taking him. So that I can understand. The Jalen Walker, I don't understand it totally. To me, he's the most overrated guy in the draft, and I know I'm not in the popular guy with that comment. But like, I don't look at a top tier linebacker that gets off blocks and always has natural instincts to get to the ball. And as a pass rusher, again, like, I love his explosive ability, but I don't love his bend. And, of course, 6'1" scares the crap out of me. Like, to say top 10, like, you have to have a special plan for this kind of guy. And when I start to hear that, I start to go, special plan, but what's he really good at? And even when I talk to people in the NFL, they're like, well, we're going to have to try to move him around. And I just go to Isaiah Simmons and I go, oh, yeah, we're good at everything, but we're not great at anything, right? That type of player. And I that's just not what I would want for my first defensive pick.
Yeah, Walker's one of the most interesting to me. I mean, he's the most interesting non-Travis Hunter player because of those questions, the how. And I have the same PTSD, Chris. I mean, I have the same when it comes to Isaiah Simmons. I'm like, oh, we can play him at free safety and linebacker, and
right.
He can blitz, and he can do it all, and I get it. I mean, Walker seems like a better fit for the teams that are going to drop him into coverage a little bit as a 3-4 outside backer, but those teams exist like the Falcons in the middle of the first, maybe not in the top 10, though.
Right. And what bothers me, too, okay, is that there's always this, and I always say this in a jokingly way, when the first thing out of your mouth is about the human, I just don't like that. I'm sorry. Like, again, like the superstar players that we know in this league, the first thing out of evaluators' mouth when they were coming out of college wasn't like, he's good in the meeting room. He's good in the locker room. man, he gives 110% during team workouts. When I hear that crap, I'm like, oh, okay, I like that. But I'd rather you start with like Abdul Carter, like, oh my gosh, is it the greatest first step we've ever seen in our life? And he plays like a kamikaze, reckless, like renegade and hits everybody. And he's got the greatest bend I've ever seen, right? That's how you start the Abdul Carter conversation. We don't go, he's a nice human being. He'll lead us through off-season workouts. Like that, it always bothers me a little bit in this time of the year.
The other guy that I wanted to give you a chance to talk about is Iowa State cornerback Darian Porter, because I got accused of ripping off your take because I turned on the tape and I like the guy. And apparently 2 people can't watch somebody and like him at the same time. But even relative to that, you were higher on him again than I was. I might have been where you were until I watched some of his Senior Bowl reps, and that just made me tap the brakes just a little bit when he went up against guys, like Kyle Williams that have that speed and quickness.
He got rounded up a little bit.
There's the big length, and that caused some problems. But man, that guy's tape looks fantastic.
Fantastic. I've never seen a guy with his size really move and be able to come out of breaks, break on the ball, turn his hips quite to the capacity he does at that size, right? You want to say Tariq Woolen, and I go, I think this guy's film's better than Tariq Woolen, right? He's got some things that I even said on my podcast. I was like, he's got skills that, to me, he's not as good a player yet that would rival Sauce Gardner a little bit when you talk about those 6'3", 6'4" type of corners. But yeah, Sam, I think what you're saying is what scares me and why I didn't rank him even higher. It was just because I'm like, he's only played 1 year really, and you never really got to see him. The phrase I would use is routed, right? Like routed by a good receiver. Got beat a few times, crossed up, and it was like, hey, you still going to press me? You still going to get up in my face and see what I got? See what you can do from there? And that's the thing I think that scared me a little bit. But man, I do like the player a lot, and I do think he will go somewhere in the top 50 picks. Right? I'll say this to you again, full transparency. I've had teams ask me, do you think Siobhan Revelle or Darian Porter are going to go at the end of the first round, right? They're kind of trying to pick my head. Have I heard anybody that's going to say that? And no, I don't think that Porter will go, but I think top 45, top 50 picks is certainly realistic. And you got to like his character a little too, right, Sam? Just the fact that he was so good on special teams, he tackles, and you got to think there's room for him to grow as a better corner going forward. But man, freaky. And a draft with not a lot of freaky guys. He's one of the freakiest guys out there.
I mean, he's such a fascinating story. And what makes it really interesting is you can always read each one of these sort of weird things 2 different ways, right? Like on the one hand, his own coach is saying he's one of the most selfless guys he's ever come across. He was playing, like he played 64 games and started 7 of them or whatever. That's ridiculous. So you can say, look, that's amazing team player. But the other side of you goes, I mean, if he's that good, why do you only start 7 games?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. I think that's what's going to scare everybody. That, the lack of film, the things you talked about at the Senior Bowl. I think ultimately that's what keeps him out of maybe the top 40, and he goes somewhere after that.
Last thing on corner, Will Johnson's your cornerback 1. Any concerns with speed, no workout, and what'd you see from his tape?
I mean, I love this tape. I mean, I understand that the top end speed, would I want him to be a hair faster? Like what I wrote, I always write like what I think he looks like on film before I actually look up the 40, and I know he didn't run it. But with him, I was like, 4.4 flat, I thought. Maybe it's 4.42. But with the size, the ball skills, and again, for that size to kind of be able to come out of breaks or out of transition, and the way he breaks on the ball or the way he can put his foot in the ground out of the back pedal and break on the ball, with that size, that's pretty special. I think he slam dunk the number 1 true outside man-to-man cover corner. I had him going to the Dolphins, at 13? And I think, somewhere between 10 and 20 he goes. I think he's widely viewed as the top man-to-man corner in the draft by just about everybody I talk to.
Yeah, it's a common pick to the Dolphins now, especially with the Jalen Ramsey. Even if Ramsey wasn't getting traded, they probably need a corner opposite him. Anyway.
Exactly.
Now they probably need 2. So
Right.
We'll let you go with this, Chris. Appreciate the time.
All good.
Draft night. What's the biggest story to you on draft night, or what's the biggest surprise? What are you looking for night 1 here?
I think I hit on it a little bit of where I guess I need to change my shifts in thinking that Teterow and McMillan and Michael Williams will go earlier in the draft, top 15-ish. That's higher than I thought. But the biggest one is it's what you guys were talking about before I came on. I mean, the quarterbacks, it is. I don't want to be the guy that sits here and talks quarterback. But that's just the way it is. And I've been one that's kind of been saying here for a while, right? Like, you guys can look it up 6 weeks ago. I was like, if the Saints don't take Shedeur Sanders, where's he going? Tell me where that's going to happen. And then when you hear, like you guys are talking about, that the NFL has similar grades on, and 3, especially with Shook, Shedeur, and Jackson Dart, where it's all similar. So you're going to trade up in the first round to get one of those guys? And from all due accounts, none of them have high first-round grades on them or anything like that. So wait, we're going to trade back. We're going to waste multiple picks on a guy that we don't think is a first-round quarterback and trade back up into the first round? That's where I'm just interested to see. It feels like the Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis year, where a lot of the league is just letting the media talk about the quarterbacks. Oh, yeah, he's great. Yeah. He'll go top 10. He'll go top 15. Meanwhile, they're in their meetings going, we don't think he's that good. We have a 3rd round grade on him, or we got a mid-2nd round grade on him, right? I feel like that's what's going to happen here. And I would not be shocked if Cam Ward is the only quarterback that goes off the board in the first round. I would not be shocked.
There we go. Chris, we always appreciate the time. I appreciate you just doing your own work, man. Your honesty, your unique evaluation. So it's always fun to discuss. Tell everybody where they can find your stuff. Always happy to help, up and coming broadcasters like yourself.
Thank you. I'm still trying to make my way in the world. All right. So yeah, I'm on Pro Football Talk on 7 to 9 on Peacock from Monday through Thursday. I'm on. They usually have somebody else on Friday. I get 3-day weekends. I got a good agent. And then I do my Chris Sims Unbuttoned podcast, right? Anywhere you find podcasts, all through NBC Sports. And of course, I do Football Night in America during the season and all that. But that's where you can find me, right? And like you said, I work hard. Like you guys, I work hard. I love it. And I'm not afraid to, say something that I believe, and even though if it's different and goes against the draft pundits or the so-called experts of the world. And I always appreciate having a combo with you guys.
Lastly, Chris, what does the NBC rehab program look like relative to an NFL organization? Have they got you set up well with me?
No, it's totally on me. They don't give a damn about my physical ability. That's the difference. They just like, wait, can you comb your hair? Can you talk and look good in the box? That's all we need from you. So shut up.
Well, good luck with the knee. Take care of yourself. And
thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chris.
I appreciate it. Good luck. All right,
Chris Sims. Always enjoy talking to Chris. And the QB rankings aren't crazy from him this year, or different, we should say, but he's definitely got some strong opinions at receiver, corner, edge, a few places. So always love watching these unfold.
That's it. He was saying, self-scouting. We've got to self-scout. We can't call him crazy anymore because he was right.
Crazy. You can't call him crazy. I know. I changed. I used to call Wink Martindale crazy, and we changed it to aggressive. Right.
The one that we didn't get to, his running back rankings are kind of interesting as well. He has RJ Harvey, the UCF running back, as running back 2, I think.
I meant to, 3, running back 3.
3.
Behind the top 2.
Right,
it's the same top 2. Ashton Genty and Marion Hampton. But he's on an island.
The chalky top 2. And then instead of Quinshon Judkins or Travion Henderson, he's got RJ Harvey up there as RB3.
Now, while we have everybody on listening right here, RJ Harvey was the player. We just put a video out there. You put a lot of hard work, you and our producers, a lot of hard work into this video where we went and crowdsourced the favorite, not the best, but the favorite prospect from as many draft analysts as we could. Check that out. It's on the Check the Mic channel under the video section. RJ Harvey does make an appearance from
he does.
From
One of the 28 analysts had RJ Harvey as his favorite prospect in the draft. Go watch that video. Like it, give it a comment as well. Number 1, it was quite a lot of work. Number 2, it's a fun concept, and hopefully we can turn that into like an annual tradition, right? Every year we'll ask everyone we can think of who their favorite prospect is. If it gets big enough, maybe we can get, the Godfather like Mel Kiper or Mike Mayock, some of the old school legacy media people to actually show up and do it as well. And number 3, we had a slight goof where we had to take it down last night. So we want to claw back the views that we lost having to delete the video and start over again.
I don't beg often, but for Sam's sanity, please go watch and like the video, because it was doing we posted it. It was doing really well. We had to take it down, put it back up there. Sam was very sad. So for Sam, please go watch the video. Under the video section, it's also really entertaining and cool. I enjoyed getting takes from all the draft analysts. So it was a good time. All right, man. That's it for us today. It's our bonus show just to get Chris Sims on here. Always enjoy the conversations with Chris. Don't forget, tomorrow, 10:30 a.m., it's your viewer mock draft, 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. So show up tomorrow. You guys can vote for whoever you want at each selection. So we'll have some fun with that. No Thursday morning show because we're live Thursday night. Thursday morning will kind of be, we'll just touch on some of the rumors, the latest news. But, man, Thursday, I just get fired up. I'm going to be in a whole different world Thursday. I just get ready. We're all excited because the draft is 8 p.m. Thursday night. We'll be live at 7 Thursday night and then 6:30 on Friday night live. So hope you join us. Stick with us throughout the weekend. Hit that thumbs up on this video. But most importantly, make sure you're subscribed and ready for everything that's coming this weekend. So thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to Chris Sims for joining. We'll see you again tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. More. Check the mic.